All right, hello friends, and welcome back to the show. Today's episode is a little bit different. It is actually just going to be me talking today about one of my favorite D2C topics for growing average order value, growing customer lifetime value, to be able to acquire new customers at a more profitable clip, to be able to expose your brand to new audiences through co-marketing and actually not spend a single dollar on marketing, grow your product catalog, and a ton more benefits. And what I'm talking about actually is collaborative commerce. So if you live under a rock, the last couple of months, I've been talking a lot on LinkedIn and social about collaborative commerce, why I think it's the future of actually D2C for a lot of brands. And also too here on the podcast with Caro actually sponsoring this podcast. This is, an opportunity, I think, for me to actually, I've realized I haven't talked about collaborative commerce in an episode yet. So I wanted to do an episode just talking more in broad strokes about why I think it's really great for any D2C brand, whether you're on Shopify or another e-commerce platform, to consider investing in, again, to hit on any of those goals that I just mentioned, but also to be able to really, at the end of the day, I think just open up new sales channels for your brand and do it in a way that is really risk-free for you as well. So where this kind of was inspired from as well, actually, I gave a presentation last week with my friends at Okendo, Smarter, Omnisend, Rebuy, Tapcart. We all did a presentation for some folks just around D2C strategies for increasing on-site conversions. My presentation was all about collaborative commerce, and I thought, hey, this would be a great podcast to just talk a little bit more about some of the benefits. And this will be through the lens of Caro, full disclosure. But again, whether or not you choose to use Caro, my hope is that you just get some tactical takeaways from this to go back and implement to your own brand. So with that in mind, I'm going to pull up screen share. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, I will do my best to explain the visuals. This is a very visual presentation here, but you'll still get a lot of effect even if you're listening to the audio. So if you have the chance, go to the description on your Spotify, iTunes, wherever you're listening, and click the YouTube description link. You will be able to see what I am saying here a little bit more visually. With that in mind, I am going to pull up my screen share here. Go back. All right, so we are talking about increasing average order value and customer lifetime value through collaborative commerce. And we're going to talk about proven strategies that Shopify's best brands are using with collaborative commerce. So this is a no bullshit presentation. This is all real stats and tactics that I'm talking about here. Again, we are very tactical on this podcast, so I hope that I can bring that to you. Two things I want you to understand from this is, first, how collaborative commerce is a risk-free way for you to grow average order value and customer lifetime value. And then I also want to give you, again, that actionable strategy to take back to your brand and implement today. So as I mentioned, we're talking about this through the lens of Caro. So I think it's maybe helpful to understand just a little bit about Caro and what we do. So we are on a mission to democratize collaborative commerce for everyone. Caro seamlessly connects over 28,000 D2C brands to a network of over 1 million premium products, with that catalog of products valued at over $7 billion at this point and growing. We also have a total combined shopping network of over 85 million unique shoppers, meaning that across this brand network, we have composed a ton of shoppers that you can tap into to sell your products to through brand partnerships. And this means unlocking a ton of opportunities to grow your AOV by about 80% on average is what Caro customers see. We are also the only collaborative commerce platform that is Shopify Plus certified, and we're trusted by Shopify's best brands like BlendJet, Super 73, Joy, and a ton more. So all of that out of the way. Look, customer acquisition costs are rising. I don't think that anyone listening to this podcast is surprised to hear that. But it's more important than ever to squeeze every single dollar out of a customer to make them more profitable. Now, this doesn't mean, squeezing every single dollar out of them in like 5 seconds and being, the brand that everyone hates. But what we're talking about here is actually an intentional way to improve customer experience and improve really the customer journey in general. So look, over the last 5 years in D2C, I was reading some stats, and I've seen the data says that customer acquisition costs have gone up by about 60%, depending on who you talk to. I mean, some brands higher, some brands lower. But what this means for a lot of D2C brands is that it's no longer profitable on the first sale or purchase that a customer makes. This means that increasing your cart value and having complementary offerings to boost that cart value or boost repeat purchases becomes more and more important. So one of the ways that, again, folks think about this is to be able to sell more products. The challenge can be pretty complex, and so I'll unpack a little bit of this. So customers love, your hero products that you sell, but I think they're also willing to buy other things that you offer if they're curated into the lifestyle that your brand offers. So chances are they're probably buying them elsewhere. So I've got on this slide here, this is BlendJet, and showing really the difference of what happens here with BlendJet, whether when they're not investing in collaborative commerce and when they actually are. So for BlendJet, they sell portable blenders, and for them, they realized, why not sell all of the ingredients that go into it? So for BlendJet, their average order value of an individual BlendJet is $50. But what they realized is all these customers were buying all these products like the milks, the protein powders, the fruits, anything that goes into a BlendJet, they were buying it elsewhere. And for them, these customers are going to Amazon, Walmart, their local Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, wherever it is. And for BlendJet, that's a lot of AOV loss that they could have had if they offered those products on their site. And data also shows that if these products were on, a store, whether it's a BlendJet, or some other D2C brand, that customers would probably take up that offer if it was compelling, or at least, a percentage of the customers would take that offer. So the question really becomes then, why aren't more brands trying to do this? Like why wouldn't BlendJet before Caro, offer all of those things that I just mentioned? And really the problem becomes that inventory and logistics can be an absolute nightmare. So in the case of BlendJet, shipping perishable goods, like frozen fruit, for example, can be a shipping nightmare. They got into business selling blenders, not frozen goods, not really their specialty, honestly. And moreover, for any brand too, warehouse space is really expensive and requires even more oversight. Suddenly when you've gone from a warehouse of just selling blenders and, things that go, with their main product line to now they've got to get, a warehouse that can handle frozen goods and perishable items, and they've got to have all this extra space. It's really expensive, honestly, for any brand, whether or not they have a budget to do this or not. So that can be a logistical nightmare. Additionally, for brands, maybe they think, well, I'll go ahead and make the products myself. But for a lot of brands, it's not honestly viable. It's really expensive to create new products, as founders can attest to. It's time intensive and it also detracts from your hero product offering. So with BlendJet, they knew about the customers that were shopping with them already loved specific products, so they were using Oatly, Soylent, Tenzo tea, etc. And there was no reason for BlendJet to say, hey, let's make BlendJet oat milk. I mean, sounds kind of cool maybe, but at the same time, is it really worth it when there's already a great brand selling something that has name recognition? Another example will be Suit Shop, a customer that we work with. They make really awesome suits, but for them, they realize that customers were going to buy accessories with the suits, maybe watches, maybe ties, all those different things. So to be able to accessorize with those suits, they didn't want to have to go off and make suits and now make all the accessories that go with it. So this is where collaborative commerce can really be a great win. And we'll talk about some of the after in a second here. But the last challenge, so you might think then, okay, logistics is a problem, R&D is a problem. And then you might think, well, maybe I just partner with other brands. Or maybe I look to wholesale as another option. But there's some challenges here too. So striking partnerships with brands can be a really big time-intensive process, and it can also be really hard to figure out how to even get started. Also, on the wholesale side, it can be a pain in the ass, whether that's you got to have minimum commitments on your wholesale orders or, again, negotiating agreements, having contracts, all of that stuff. It can take a lot of time, money, and investment overall to even think about brand partnerships and wholesale on a one-to-one level. Not to mention the most important piece, which is syncing your storefront to have it up to date with inventory and delivering that native site experience for your customer. If you want to go to a Tenzo tea, for example, and strike up a partnership with them and having to sync that up in your Shopify storefront. There's development needs. Is it real-time inventory? There's so many challenges that can come from that. So again, a logistical nightmare to say the least. And so suddenly your little idea to grow average order value, subscriptions, lifetime value, etc. can become a really big challenge. But honestly, it doesn't have to be. And this is where collaborative commerce comes into the picture. So on this slide here, I am showing an example of a BlendJet blender at a $50 average order value, and then showing in just a few clicks with a solution like Caro, you can add all of the products that I just mentioned, the Tenzo teas, the PB2s, the protein powders, the Oatly almond milkers, or milk to your storefront, and do that in a few clicks to go from an AOV of $50 to an AOV of $90 plus. With these products, they're consumable, so you can actually open up recurring subscription revenue to a business that otherwise wouldn't have had recurring revenue. And so collaborative commerce really opens up the door to do all of this without any of those headaches or challenges that I just talked about at the onset. And so collaborative commerce powered by Caro is a really great way for you to sell more together with all of e-commerce without any of the headaches, again, that I just talked about. Customers who come to Caro to invest in a solution like collaborative commerce see up to a 3.5x increase in revenue. I mentioned 80% AOV increase. And then if they're looking to grow their product catalog significantly, they can grow it by up to 3x faster with investing in Caro. And the coolest thing about Caro is that we give you all the tools to form brand partnerships at scale and do it in just a few clicks, and then sync all of these products back to your Shopify store natively without really any investment in developer work. So I've talked about all of this, but what the heck is collaborative commerce? Like, how do I play in this ecosystem? What does it look like? So there's really two ways that you can do this. And the first is to be a retailer. So as a retailer, you simply just plug into our network. You find brands that you want to partner with. Again, I mentioned over 28,000 brands. There is literally a partnership for every single brand. And then once you find those brands, in just a few clicks, you can sync those products seamlessly back to your Shopify storefront to deliver a native end-to-end experience. So for example, say you own a makeup brand and you want to sell makeup brushes, or you want to sell makeup wipes, or something that you don't offer in your store. Caro's got you covered. Or maybe you have a baby brand and you want to offer something like baby shoes, maybe formula. You want to offer something specific to that. Caro has you covered. We literally have a pairing for every brand, and I'm not talking like one. I'm talking multiple, dozens, if not hundreds of products within each of these categories that can fit and are really premium, high quality products for you to offer in your store. And again, if you're using a tool like Rebuy, for example, where you're already thinking about, using AI to kind of power those cart upsells and offers, Caro is a great way to actually add more products to that Rebuy experience to see which products your customers are going to take. Maybe you want to offer, additional things, fill out your store. And then two, you can even figure out without having to invest in the product yourself, do you have product market fit if you start to test out these products, offering them in your store with a solution like Rebuy, or even just putting them on your store. So Caro is a great way to actually get those products into your store if you don't have products already. And then two, so how this actually all works from a payments standpoint. You're probably asking, what's the catch? So when a sale occurs, you simply just split the profit with the supplier. And the supplier in this case, so say, BlendJet has Tenzo tea on their store, and Tenzo's the supplier. Tenzo would just fulfill the order like any other sale. And then for BlendJet, they don't have to handle any of the inventory or logistics overhead. Customer gets their Tenzo, they get their BlendJet, everyone's happy, and the transaction occurs seamlessly. So I just mentioned supplying. So what does supplying look like? Well, as a supplier, it's also highly advantageous for you. You can make your products available to the Caro network of over 1 million products at this point. So you're going to add your products to the network, and then you'll be able to partner with retailers and marketplaces. So the really cool thing about this as a supplier is you're literally getting free awareness in an entirely new customer acquisition channel. All the acquisition data passes back to you as well. So you're getting that data to remarket to the customer, which is really cool. And it's what I like to call the ultimate lookalike audience. So in the case of BlendJet, for Soylent, one of their suppliers, this is a really awesome way for Soylent to find more of their ideal customers that have a high likelihood to convert because they're already in the market looking for things to put inside of their BlendJet blender. what other channel is going to give you access to qualified shoppers with their credit card out, ready to buy your products? I think this is a really great way to supplement your ads strategy, where you might already be bidding a lot of money to acquire customers, by sandwiching your ads between, photos of dogs on Meta or Instagram, for example. So a really great way to get more creative on your acquisition strategy. The really cool thing too about Caro is that you can actually do both too if you want. I think I lost my slide here, but I'll talk about it. So you can also double dip and be a supplier and a retailer. So for example, for BlendJet, not only do they retail all of these products in the BlendJet marketplace, but they've also made their BlendJet available as a supplier. So, brands like Joy Plant Milk, for example, can add a BlendJet to their site now, into their marketplace, and then they're able to expose BlendJet to even more of their ideal customers. So it's a really big win-win. I highly recommend you enter the network as both a supplier and a retailer if it's available to you, because you can really double dip on getting that acquisition, that free brand awareness from a supplier perspective, but then of course all the sales benefits as a retailer and supplier too. Really, really great way to kind of be able to double dip there. So I mentioned, there is literally opportunities for everyone in collaborative commerce. So I think that, regardless of what you sell, what you do, there's millions of opportunities, I think, for you to add your products to your store, to get other products, your products into other brand stores, or to do both, like I mentioned, being able to double dip there. So really, really amazing opportunities across the board for any brand. So I've just spent a lot of time now talking about BlendJet, but actually, what are some of the stats and things that they actually saw from working with Caro and using collaborative commerce? So again, I mentioned they realized their customers were buying all of these products elsewhere, and then they used Caro as a way to be able to partner and add all these products to their storefront without any of that challenge that they had in the past. And they've partnered with over 35 D2C brands like Soylent, Oatly, Happy Viking, etc. And through this, BlendJet has gone from a hero product company with no recurring subscription revenue to an entire one-stop shop marketplace without any of the headaches of that inventory and logistics. And they've seen an 80% increase in AOV and a 71% increase in customer lifetime value. Now, that AOV increase is with Caro products in that cart as well. I just want to call that out. But that really goes to show you, by adding those products to the store, customers at that uptake rate is pretty high, and they're buying more, and it's potentially recurring revenue if they add that subscription. So it's a really great win-win for everyone involved in that transaction. I highly recommend you go to blendjet.com and just check out their marketplace, if nothing else, and see how seamless it looks. Caro is powering all of those products, but what's really cool is that customer who's shopping at blendjet.com gets access to all that, and it's a seamless experience for everyone. I wanted to talk about another example too. So this is a little bit more of an outside of the box benefit that collaborative commerce can offer. So this is Paceline. They're a first of its kind fitness app and credit card reward portal. And essentially with Paceline, anyone who uses the Paceline app can earn points for exercising in the app, which they can go spend on the Paceline marketplace. And all of the products in the Paceline marketplace are actually curated through Caro. So this is great for Paceline because they can actually curate products that fit into the healthy lifestyle that their app is trying to deliver on. And for the brands that align with that healthy lifestyle as suppliers in the Caro network, it's a great partnership opportunity for these two brands, or these two players, really, the retailer and the supplier, retailer being Paceline, supplier being anyone who has their products in that marketplace, to really win together. So this is great, for D2C brands like Health Aid or Soylent, for example. By getting into the Paceline marketplace now, they can acquire new customers without spending a single dollar on marketing. So super cool to be able to see just outside the box benefits. And we work with a lot of solutions like Paceline to deliver opportunities like this for really anyone who's in that Caro network. So look, I just talked a lot about, I think, the high level conceptual benefits from a retailer and supplier perspective, how everyone wins, grows AOV, does all that stuff. But I understand too that maybe not everyone's, ready to implement a solution like Caro. And so if you do nothing else from this conversation or just understanding of it, I just like you to remember that collaborative commerce can be a way to help customers convert more often in the case of BlendJet, at higher cart values, again, talking about BlendJet, and then also to opening up higher converting acquisition channels like I mentioned with some of the supplier opportunities. So really everyone wins in this relationship, and it's a great way to think about outside the box, expanding sales as D2C gets a little bit more difficult and acquisition costs are rising and rising. We really need to be thinking about ways to make customers more profitable, and collaborative commerce really can deliver on all of that. So if you're interested actually in anything I talked about with collaborative commerce and want to give it a try, Caro is offering a risk-free trial to anyone who just wants to get going with their Shopify store. Just go to getcaro.com, click on the free trial link, and you'll be able to take access to that. You'll get access immediately to our product catalog, be able to see what's in it. If you want to make your products available as well, we have a free forever supplier plan where you can actually just make your products available. And again, really great way for you to test the waters and see, is this the right solution for you? My guess is it is, but again, free trial, try it for yourself, and let us put our money where our mouth is on that. So guys, I appreciate you listening to me talk a lot about something that I'm a little bit passionate about maybe, which is collaborative commerce. But all of that to say, again, I really hope you give it a try. I think that it's an interesting opportunity for you to just kind of have a new acquisition channel at the end of the day. But again, guys, appreciate you listening to me talk about that. I will get out the soapbox now on collaborative commerce. But with that in mind, I wanted to transition out now and just kind of talk about, it's been an awesome season 1 here of 2% the podcast. I had a ton of awesome guests on the show. And as we kind of come up on the close of season 1, this is episode 16. It's crazy to think about all the awesome conversations that I've had. And to celebrate this, I will be doing an entire recap of season 1, giving you sort of a TLDR of each episode, my top takeaways, and really having it be a super just tactical, quick-paced episode. So keep an eye out for that. That'll probably come out in the next couple of weeks here. And as we're recapping season 1, this is looking towards season 2 now. And if you're interested and you're listening, you want to be on the show, you want to talk about what you're doing, some cool strategy you're implementing, your brand story, anything like that, shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Just look for me, Blake Imperl. I will be there. Or shoot me an email, blake@getcaro.com. Happy to chat and see if there's a fit there. Appreciate you all listening to the show. As always, this has been a wild ride, to say the least, hitting 25 countries in our first 3 months. We're well over several thousand downloads at this point. It's crazy to see the metrics just keep growing and growing. I really appreciate your support. And if you haven't already left the show a review, wherever you're listening, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, I think it's called now, wherever you're listening, please leave us a review. It goes a super long way in continuing to have the show reach more and more folks in this space, and it will make me really grateful for that. Anyway, appreciate your support as always. Hope you all crush Q4, and I will be talking to you all real soon. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. I hope you got 2% better for watching, and if you haven't already, consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel so you never miss another episode. We have a variety of e-com topics to talk about this season that's going to get you 2% better each week across a variety of topics. Also, if you want exclusive content not covered in these episodes that's super tactical, head over to getcaro.com/podcast. You'll find full episode recaps, transcripts, and so much more content that we don't have time to cover in these episodes. Lastly, if you want to continue on the journey right now, I encourage you to do so. I will link to another episode right here. You can take advantage of that. Click just right there, and that'll take you to that episode. And with that, I'll see you next week on 2% the podcast.